Hey guys, welcome to the review show. My name is Austin. Here stars Tom Hanks and Robin Wright. A generational story about family and the special place they inhabit, sharing in love, loss, laughter, and life. I was very curious about this movie. I love Tom Hanks. I love Robert Zemeckis. Is that how you say his name? He's the director of Back to the Future and Forrest Gump and Castaway. Great films. I haven't seen Forrest Gump, so I can't really say if that's great. But I've heard great things about it. This movie had a lot of interesting things going for it. Is using the de-age technology on Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, and they do the de-aging on her as well, which I'm not too sure if I'm a big fan of the de-aging aspect or not, because there's times that it does work very well, like in Captain Marvel, like the de-aging on Samuel L. Jackson there, and it works very well in that. But then there's times like in movies like this one where it just looks almost like video game-ish, and there is times where it does. But when they're pushed off into the background, both of Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, when they're pushed off in the background where the shadows are kind of covering their faces, it looks really good. But sometimes for some reason they get really up close to the camera that never ever fucking moves, which I get this the premise, but I don't get why they have to get so fucking close up to the camera so they can be like, see, look at our CGI on their faces. It looks amazing, and it doesn't. It doesn't when you get that fucking close up to it, because it's not meant to be that close. But there at times it looks great on both of them when they're far away. Story here is you follow a guy named Aya or Al, one of the two. I honestly don't remember his character's name, but he's played by Paul Bettany, who in his character was in the military. He's also married to Rose, who's played by Kelly Riley, and they end up buying their first house ever. And this is kind of where their family starts growing up and living together, and they start living there for like generations on. So the story kind of follows them, but it also goes back in time and also forward in time, which is kind of weird. It goes back to like the dino age for some reason in this movie to just show like where this land, I guess, began. I will say that that opening sequence with the dinosaurs were better than anything that in Adam Driver's dinosaur movie. So that's a positive, I guess, in that aspect. You do see the evolution over time of that land. The next scene, like these tribes live in this part of the land next to the house being built. And actually do get to the point where you do see Tom Hanks' family moving in and their evolution in that house. I don't know why I would call it evolution, but I did. Next, at some point, a new family comes into that house. But the story is told jumping back and forth for some reason, and it can feel very messy at times. And this is kind of one of my issues with We Live in Time, that Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh movie, which was a good movie, but it did have issues when it jumped back in time and telling like multiple moments of their story, but out of order, and it did feel messy in that way. We kind of get that aspect here, but with different families and different generations that don't get utilized that much at all in this movie. They actually, like, there's times in this movie where like a character will die. I'm like, wait, who died? Oh, that, okay, well, spent like 5 minutes with that character. I don't really care that much. And if it's not like any form of character that is like related to the Tom Hanks family in the movie, then I don't give a shit because we didn't spend any time with them. And I'm kind of more focused on Tom Hanks' storyline than really these other storylines that would pop up later on in the film with like with the generations of other people living in this house. Every time that they would cut to a different family living in this house, I would get like this type of sound, because it's just annoying, and it kind of stopped the story. And I get the whole point of the movie, like, hey, this is like a huge moment of your life. This is like a memory type of deal. Like, you know, the person that you like lived in your house previously has memories there. Someone has memories where I live. I get the whole point. There's other ways to tell that message without being all janky and messy and showing all a bunch of these other characters that don't really have any purpose or any matter to the film. Kind of what creates the big issue here is the storytelling in this movie. Even though there are times where I am kind of getting emotional to what's going on in the film, but at the same time, I kind of don't care towards the end. It's kind of like, you know, poof, it's gone. Like, it's like kind of like, all right, I'm already kind of forgetting about the film. It doesn't really leave that much of an impact on me that much, even though I understand what the point of the film is. The problem is because it is just this one shot throughout the whole entire film, where you're focusing on like this living room shot that you do see somewhat change with different sceneries going on in the house because of the different generations of the stories that are being told. But mainly you're stuck in this one shot and seeing this one room, and it can get very boring at times. And there's times throughout the film where the story feels contrived, and it's like, oh, well, how convenient that this pregnancy sequence happens right here at this moment. If it doesn't happen here, you would have to explain to the audience what happens off screen, which they kind of do as well. Like at the beginning of the film, you have Kelly Riley explaining the backstory of Paul Bettany, and like that's like there's a lot of different moments like that with different characters explaining situations throughout the film that happen off screen. I never like movies that never show and just tell, and I understand that this is the concept of like it's just one shot of throughout the whole entire film. So they kind of feel like they don't have the choice to show, and the only way is to tell. But there's times in this movie that where they visually show, like, you know, the future or the past in like a picture situation, or like a split screen situation where, like, you know, you see Paul Bettany on like one side of the screen, and next you show a different character that's either in the future or in the past on the other side. You could have done some visual storytelling where like you're showing what happened off screen right there, and like, you know, you're still having like this one shot focus still. You can do something like that visually, but no, it's like, well, it's just easier if we have the characters say what happened instead of trying to get you emotionally invested. The movie kind of falls into that issue, but there are at times where they do somewhat do a good visual telling. Have someone moving this dress cabinet, and next there's like a mirror on it, and next like they place it in the middle of the room, and actually you can kind of see the other part of the house for once in the movie. It's like, oh, cool, different scenery for once, somewhat. It's through a mirror, but you know, it's cool to see something else for a bit. And like, you know, you can see that, and next they'll keep it on that shot for a bit. Next, you know, you have the characters talking in the mirror, and it's like, okay, that's kind of creative. That's kind of cool. Or you have this one scene where this family is like kind of like watching like old like family footage, and like they have like a projector screen, and you can see them like, you know, showing stuff that they did in this house for like so many different for like many years. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. More stuff like that. So just sprinkle things like that throughout the whole entire film. But the way that the story is told, and having this one camera shot just being throughout the whole entire movie, it does make the movie feel very messy, and you're just kind of walking out like already forgetting the movie, even though you watched it like 2 seconds ago. The movie is fine. It looks amazing. Can't really say much about how it really looks amazing. It is literally just one shot, but they lit the whole entire set pretty well. It's like, and the de-aging on the faces looked fine. They looked really good when they're far away, but whenever they get fucking close to the camera, like almost like they're invading my personal space, it looked very bad. I'm gonna give here a C+. Acting's really good. Tom Hanks is good whenever he is on screen. Whenever they're really focusing on this young family, that's when I was really emotionally attached. I get the point of the movie is that, like, hey, this house created a bunch of memories and other people live there, and it's like, it's almost like this bubble of like time in some form. And you can tell that same story without making it feel messy. You can literally have this whole entire movie be just focused on the young family, and you can show them like living in this house for generations. Next, you can end the movie with this new family moving in, and that basically is symbolizing, hey, this next family is going to create a bunch of new memories with this house and with this living room. There's so many other better ways to tell that story, especially with the unique concept idea with it just being this one shot throughout the whole entire movie. I don't think the one shot is really the big issue. I think it's just that there was not really that much creativeness with what they were given. I think that there was a lot of points in the film that it did feel lacking a lot of creative ideas. You could have easily done some form of flashbacks without leaving the setting of this room in this one shot. And they do stuff like that in the film with these other situations that go on. And it's like, well, you could have done more stuff like that, and that would have been interesting and unique. And let me know what you guys thought about here down below in the comment section below. We'll have a conversation. Thank you guys very much for watching. Like always, I'll see you guys in the next review. Bye, guys.